Hello, everybody. Um, Welcome to this short webinar on project management professional education programs at the Kemmy Business School. My name is John Kelly. I'm the director at the Centre for Project Management in the Kemmy Business School. And I'd like to take this opportunity just to go through a few things that might be part of what you're going through yourselves in terms of your decisions on whether to take this course or any course, in fact. And I suppose give you some insights as to what we do. And if it makes a connection with you guys, you know there might be follow-up questions and so on that you might have after the presentation. We can deal with them today, or we can deal with follow up later in the Q&A or through email or whatever later on. So all the contact details will be sent to you. So essentially, this particular webinar, I'm going to talk to you about. I'm just going to share my screen there for a second. So a couple of slides there to go through. So hopefully you can see that all right. So the idea of this presentation is to give you some insights as to what professional education programs we offer in project management at the Kemmy Business School. And, I suppose people like yourselves are looking at different options and different features of programs and so on. And we offer a particular set of products which are specifically designed for working professionals, and we offer them in an online format. So I'd like to maybe talk you through a few features of those, as well as maybe talk about a sort of broader sense of what the sort of the philosophy or the teaching approach and so on that we adopt across the programs. So the two programs that we're talking about today are both fully online programs. One is the MSc in Project and Program Management, which is a 2-year part-time online offering, and the other is a Professional Diploma in Project Management, which is offered over 2 semesters. So it's finished. It's sort of a 1-year program, again part-time, and again fully online. So we'll talk about those in a minute, but I'll just give you a little bit of background. Essentially, what I hope to do here is to cover some of the questions that might be in your heads already, and then give you some, I suppose, insights as to what programs we offer and a bit of the background to those, right? So often what I do is we get questions about our programs at this stage, and I would typically deal with them, a lot of them, maybe at interview stage. But this is sort of an advanced, I suppose, notification opportunity for anybody who hasn't applied and is considering applying. The point about the offerings here is that they're being offered through the Centre for Project Management here at the university, which has actually been around for some time. It was established back in the mid-90s through an industry university type of alliance, where industry recognized the need for skilled project professionals to essentially deliver projects successfully, and that this would be good for business. So it was one of the first centres of its type to be set up across the globe, in fact, and remains the only centre of its type in Ireland that is dedicated to the ongoing advancement of project management as a discipline through education programs, training and research and so on. So we have a sort of a long track record in that sense, and we, I suppose, have a network of both industry and academic that are come together to design and develop programs, and through the delivery of them as well, you have access to both people who have been teaching in this area for many years, but also have been in practice. And that's sort of a unique combination that we have here in the Kemmy Business School. There are lots of reports, I'm sure you've seen yourselves, and it's the fact that you're considering looking at a course like this, which point to the needs for strong project management skills. I just picked up a couple here from the PMI who publish regularly on this area, but I'm sure if you went looking elsewhere, you'd find these type of things coming up. But what's interesting about this is that the people, sort of CEOs and senior leaders in organizations, when they're asked what are they looking for in their project professionals, point towards less towards the sort of the technical orientation that people have, and more to the skills associated with managing and leading teams, and also in understanding projects and how it fits the business. And what we find is people like many people that come to our program are coming from a strong technical orientation, and often, maybe doing well in that, so in an organization in that area, and are being earmarked to move forward to lead projects, and which becomes a very different challenge. So the course is designed to help people with this transition, essentially moving from people who are good at the technical orientation and to become more sort of strategic leaders within the organization, and understanding projects and how projects create value for the wider benefit. So the program will touch on many of these areas, and hope to foster and develop these within you as a learner, and give you the opportunity to try out these skills within your own workplace and the context within which you're carrying out projects. This is one of the many themes that you will encounter throughout the course. Just an example whereby we try and view projects as value creation systems, or ways of creating value and ways of creating sustainable value. And essentially, what you'll get the opportunity through the course to enhance and develop your understanding of how this might be, by examining this through various modules in the program, such as governance and frameworks, methodologies and processes, organizational strategy, commercial and non-commercial benefits, sustainability, knowledge management, human capital, and also by doing industry-based projects. So a lot of the assignment work and project work that you'll be doing for the modules will be linked back to what you're doing on your own projects, and you'll be able to demonstrate your knowledge through those and demonstrate it to us to sort of meet the academic requirements, but also to demonstrate it to people around you to show how you're enhancing your own skill set, and hopefully providing opportunities within your own career. This is a model I like in particular, which we cover, we explore in depth in a couple of different modules in the program. This connection between projects and programs, and projects and projects, and the sort of cycle of ongoing projects that, it's a continuous sort of effort throughout, when you just start and stop with a project. And this comes about through the pressures and the needs for organizations to change. You can look at a model like this and try and, I suppose, picture where would the project professional, how it might have a role in this. And a lot of the emphasis, I suppose, in the more traditional sense, will be in the lower end of this particular cycle, where project managers are tasked with delivering projects. But what we want to do is try and broaden our understanding and your understanding of projects in a wider sense. Why the project is necessary in the first place, how it creates value, who does it have an impact on, who's going to benefit from it, and where does the value sit, and how can we target that and generate it through the various elements of the project. So it's viewed as sort of a continuous cycle of making sense of business problems, coming up with ideas, and then making decisions around that and implementing them. So the project professional needs to understand this, and sort of have this wider um, business orientation beyond the sort of the four walls of the project, so to speak. And this is not something new. This has been around for quite some time, but often the emphasis might be a little bit narrow when it comes to project managers and the skills that they need. We want to sort of break into that and expand it, so to speak. So essentially, for people who take on this course or the professional courses, is they're mostly in the main trying to advance their career in some way, and often they're in this transition phase where they may have built up quite a lot of years of experience working on projects, and they either see themselves moving into a lead role or have been in a lead role for a number of years, and have seen things and want to do things better, so to speak. And that's what we're about. We're trying to, I suppose, it's an intervention at a career at a key point in your career that hopefully will help you in that transition phase. Now, we get people from all different stages of their career on the program. I mean, we've a kind of a minimum requirement of 4 years experience in projects. The reason for that is that you really do need to have, I suppose, got your hands dirty to some extent in that context or in the world of projects to be able to appreciate and understand some of the concepts and things that we're trying to teach you and explore, so to speak. And also, you may be making a decision to advance your career, but also, using the argument within your organization that this is something that's going to help in a wider sense as well. And there are, I suppose, supports there from different enterprises that are willing to invest in individuals because they realize that it's good for business. So that's the nature of this intervention. It's sort of people who are in their careers already within projects, or they're transitioning from a more technical role into leading and managing projects. With regards to our program, right, our professional programs in the Kemmy Business School in project management have this global accreditation from the PMI. So it's a sort of a testament to our commitment to project and project management, which has been, part and parcel of what we've been doing for the last 30 plus years. It is we offer the only programs in Ireland that have this accreditation. And with this badge, so to speak, particularly if you're looking at, traveling or working in multinationals and so on, it's instantly recognized. The other thing about the sort of the global aspect of the program is, and given that it's a fully online course and the nature of its delivery, which I'll talk to you about a little bit in a while, it gives access to people from all over the world. And it doesn't matter where you are, what nationality you're coming from, and what time zone you're in. You can do this course. And we've had people over this particular version of the core of our master's program was launched in 2011. We have over, I would say, close to 350 graduates from the program at this stage, and they've done it from various parts of the world. Like mostly, I would say Irish people or Irish people overseas, but we have had quite a few people from different nationalities as well. And I wouldn't underestimate the challenge. I mean, it is difficult to be so remote, but the connections that people make as they're going through the course as well, and the supports that we provide make this possible. And a quick word on I suppose what drives us. You get a sense that because of what we do and how we reach out and what the network of people that we access and so on throughout the years, that what we're aiming to do is to create this kind of a community of learners that come together for a period as they're doing the course, share and collaborate, enter into dialogue and discussions around projects. That we create this environment where learners learn off learners and learners learn off teachers and moderators and so on. And we've designed the program with this in mind. So this is not just a program that was, a part of a traditional taught program that was converted into this format because of something like COVID, which many other programs did. It was originally designed well before that and offered that with this in mind, with this type of learner in mind. And that's where I think one of the main strengths of the program lies, is in this philosophy of creating a community of learners and how it has informed the design and delivery of the program. The programs themselves, right? What we're talking about today, or what's of particular interest to professional learners, is the MSc in Project and Program Management, and also the Professional Diploma in Project Management. Now, while there's lots of commonalities between the two, I would like to point out that you do need to decide which track you're on before you apply. The MSc in Project and Program Management is I suppose a full-blown MSc. You get into quite a lot more depth, I suppose, in specific areas within the modules, particularly in the second year. If you're on the Professional Diploma track, you're part of a suite of professional diplomas that are being offered by the University of Limerick. And essentially the track that you'd be on there is towards a Master of Professional Practice, which is sort of a more general qualification. And, the benefits of that is that it sort of allows you to pick up knowledge and skills in a number of different areas related to business. And you can also combine it with maybe some of the more technical professional diplomas, which are offered through other schools within the university. The Master of Professional Practice is a relatively new offering, and so it is designed for people who want to take sort of short chunks as part of their progress to a master's level. And you essentially, what you do is you complete any 3 professional diplomas and write up some kind of a professional portfolio report as part of it, and you'll be awarded a Master's of Professional Practice. No, you can't apply for a Master of Professional Practice unless you've accumulated 60 ECTS, and then you apply for the Master of Professional Practice to pick up the last 30 ECTS. Each of the professional diplomas is 30 ECTS, and you need 90 to get to a master's level. So I suppose the message there is that, look, I know you're sort of maybe considering your options here. You do really need to decide which track you're on before you sign up for one of these programs. And if you're into the core project management areas, and you see project management as your career direction, so to speak, then the MSc is probably the one you should be picking. If you're looking at yourself being sort of a more general manager type area, you need to pick up skills in other areas such as taxation, sustainable work, economics, and so on, then it's the Master of Professional Practice track that you should be on. With regards to the program, its structure and how we deliver it, so we do offer a degree of flexibility, obviously, because it's fully online. And I see some questions there around, when are the classes and so to speak. There are no classes, formal classes as such. In other words, everything that you need to do the program will be made available through the learner platform, and so there'll be videos, readings, and so on that'll be made available that you will have access to. I'll speak a little bit more about that in a while. But we do have some live webinars, but they're not formal lectures as such. So we don't, we don't run lectures where you sit in front of a screen, listen to a fellow like you talking to you about project management, right? All the content will be made available to you through the platform. We then get you to engage in activities, forums, and so on. So there's activities to be done every week. So that allows you to interact with your peers, moderators, and module leaders who are guiding and directing the learning. And this is all handled centrally. So this idea of, when are the lectures and so to speak, doesn't apply to this course. The webinars that we hold would typically be in the evening time in the Irish time zone. They're recorded, so if you can't attend them, you can listen back in them. But you will have access to the platform where you will be able to engage and interact with your moderators and module leaders on a continuous basis. The program then, I suppose, in terms of the content, this is the MSc, so it's over 2 years. You have an autumn and spring semester, and then a summer project typically be done. So at the end of year one, there's an in-company value study to be done. In the second year, there's a research paper to be done. So while it's earmarked for the summer, it's the kind of thing that goes on throughout the second year. The modules in the sort of early stages deal with what I would describe as the more foundational elements of projects. And then as we move through it, you're getting into more specific areas around so the more advanced areas of topics around project and project program management. If you sign up for the MSc track, you do have the option, should you wish to exit after the first year, and be awarded a postgraduate certificate in project and program management. Or if you wish, you can exit with a postgraduate diploma having accumulated 60 ECTS. That would be kind of a standard offering that the universities would provide. In other words, that while you might be signing up for a full MSc program, there are options to exit with awards if you so wish, for whatever reason. The professional diploma then is more concentrated on the early parts of the MSc, and that's sort of 5 modules, 6 CCTS each, accumulate 30 credits, and then you have your first professional diploma, which will then you can use to move. You can either take that, in the first, second, or third phase of the Masters of Professional Practice. So we've people taking the professional diploma who are on the third leg of that, and have already done the other 2 other professional diplomas, or we have people who are on their second or on their first track. So it doesn't really matter. We mix them all together, and you're all going to do the modules at the same timing and so on. One of the features of the program that I like to point out is that because you're kind of transitioning in a number of sense from into the formal education sphere, so to speak, coming from maybe not having done that in quite a number of years. You're not alone in that sense. That most people taking on the course are in that frame of mind or in that position, I suppose. But also in helping you transition into the online learning space, so to speak. We've designed and developed an induction program which is designed specifically for this program, or these programs designed by 2 of our colleagues here in the Centre for Project Management. And it's only a 2-week offering. It's something that everybody gets to do. And this is opposed to any induction process you might go through at central university level. The process, I suppose, from application to arriving at this point is largely handled by the Graduate and Professional Studies Office in the university. Once you've gone through those enrollments and access setups, you're handed over to us, so to speak, and that's when we start the journey with you guys with a program induction, a 2-week program induction, helping you familiarize yourself with the platform, with what it's might like be like to be an online learner, getting to meet some of the others that are taking the course, meeting some of the moderators that are and module leaders that are will be part of the program for the duration, and getting you to do some activities which are designed to help you with, for example, getting access to the library and so on, making sure all that's working. Uh, Being able to share some of your thoughts and insights in terms of where, for example, how are you actually going to tackle this? Uh, One of the major challenges, as you can imagine, of the course is the time that it takes and trying to factor that into your routine busy life, so to speak. So we get we sort of bring you through a 2 week induction where you will be doing some activities online, and you'll be sharing and thinking about your overall approach to your learning. Uh, what it's essentially what we want to do is to iron out a lot of things that might concern people at the beginning before we launch into a module in earnest. And it gives you an opportunity to raise any issues around that we might be able to resolve before we start the learning with the first module. So this would typically happen kind of in the second and third week of September, with the first module starting then towards the third, fourth week of September, that type of thing, that sort of timing. The other feature of the program, which is probably a little bit different to what you might be expecting, is that we run the modules in sequence. So you're not studying more than one module at any one time. So this is something that I think appeals to project and program managers. It's just the structure that we offer, the milestones that we set. This is all the hallmarks of a program, a project. The modules run in sequence in 5 week blocks. We do allow a 1 week buffer between the modules, and that's, at the end of each module, you're going to be producing some work for us for assessment. There are no exams. It's all project-based work, mostly related to what you're currently doing in your workplace, and making the connection between maybe the more academic theory side of things with practice, demonstrating your knowledge through that. So there's something to be delivered at the end of each module. It could be a report, could be an academic piece. We do quite a lot of reflections, so you will be taught how to write reflectively and reflect on your practice, and to incorporate that into your learning. So at the end of each module, there's a sort of a series of submissions to be made. The week buffer is designed in, and that actually came from the students. Originally, when we launched this first, we didn't have that. And the feedback we were getting was that, look, this is all great, it's fairly intense, but is there any chance you could give us an opportunity to catch our breath somewhere in the design, so that we can catch up on other things? So you might be, committing quite a lot of time to completing a piece of work, and then having to do a bit of catch up at work, at home, or whatever. So it's just a way to break it up a little bit, and then get you recharged for the next module. So this is what we did. It means that the autumn semester is sort of runs in tandem with the I suppose the university calendar, so to speak. In that we start in September and we finish in December. The spring semester, it means we have to start things a little bit earlier than the rest of the university. So you'll be coming in early January, and running the 3 modules in the spring. And then the summer starts then in May, runs through to July in the first year, and in the second year runs sort of from May through to September. Um, we are sort of bound by the way things run in the university, so there are key review points along the way. We don't really need to get into it here, but the thing is that, like, while we offer a degree of flexibility in terms of the the way the programs are delivered, it's actually very structured, and you need to be hitting these deadlines and these milestones. If you don't, then it means that we're unable to process a grade for a module, for example, at a key review point. That then in turn has a knock-on effect into how you might be able to progress through the program. So it's just, we have aligned it fully with the university. We have to. So there are grading cycles and so on that we have to meet, and you have to sort of make sure that you've completed the necessary work for us to be able to progress you through the program. Now, having said that, there are options for people taking a step back and coming back in and so on, because we know and recognise that the there's lots of things that can happen within your outside of the program that'll affect your impact or impact your ability to do the program. What this sort of amounts to is about, we say as a guide, between 15 and 20 hours a week study. And that's not insignificant, as you can imagine. When you get to the first module, you will find that there's a lot of settling down happening. In other words, that you're still coming to grips with the whole routine. With the best laid plans in the world, you will find that you will need to be adapting and adjusting your routine to find the one that works for you. And once you find that routine, typically it takes a module or two for people to settle into it. And once you find the routine, you find that the remaining year or 2 years will fly. It becomes part of what you do from there on. With regards to the entry requirements, so we do look for a primary degree at level 8. There's sort of the formal aspects of it. That would be standard here at the university. For those that don't have a degree, there is an option to apply through the recognition of prior learning system. So if you have any questions on that, you can feel free to reach out to me. But we do have an application process that runs in parallel with the formal application process for gaining entry. If you apply and you don't have a degree, we ask everybody, in fact, to include a CV with your application. We will review the CV and determine whether or not an offer can be made without this, or if we need you to complete the RPL application, the recognition of prior learning application. That's really essentially documenting your experience and projects and what you've been doing. And there's a couple of reflective pieces around that as well. There's a little bit of work in it, but it's worth, if you're in that bracket, it's worth putting the effort in, because it'll sort of, I suppose, for your own sake, test your commitment to actually taking on something like this. But it also demonstrates to us as well that you're serious about taking on the course. We've had plenty of people that have come, maybe through the non-traditional routes of learning, and have applied through this and done really, really well in the program. So it's not to shy away from. Your experience and background that you bring to the table is really valuable when it comes to this type of professional program. We do look for a minimum of 4 years project experience. So you don't have to be running projects, but you do need to be somebody that has been involved in projects in some capacity. Again, it's just to understand, or to be able to bring to your learning an appreciation of what happens on projects and different roles and so on, decisions that are made in projects and processes around that. Having been in and been involved in projects for a number of years means that you can engage in your learning in a different way than somebody who's very new and starting out in their career. We do have a full-time on-campus MSc program in project management, which is designed for early career people who have, come through the normal route, so to speak, and are doing postgraduate studies. This is different. This is for professional learners, people who are in the workplace doing projects, and have been doing projects for a number of years. We do have an interview as part of the process, selection process as well. So anybody who applies will be interviewed by me, and it would give an opportunity for me to explore your experience and background, and help you with your deliberations around whether you think this is the right course for you or not. Because that's one of the things that we really want to ensure is that you're making a good decision coming onto the course, that you're prepared for it, and also that that it's a good fit for you. In other words, the direction that you see yourself going, and so on. Um, this is just a kind of little snapshot of a module. I don't really want to get into it in too much detail, but to give you an idea of the type of thing you will see when we release the module. So at the beginning of each module, you will be released, the materials for all that module will be released. So you'll see exactly what's ahead of you for the remaining, the 5 week block, so to speak. And each module will be broken down to a number of themes, broken down into weeks of study. And in each week, there'll be a series of readings, videos to watch, and some activity. So there's often, a discussion forum or so on, where in order to engage with the discussion forum, you need to have covered the content. So we'll set out the schedule, where we expect you to be doing readings and so on, engaging with content in the early part of the week. Maybe by Thursday do a post to a forum, by Saturday a second post, and Sunday writing reflections and so on. So there's a pattern there that you'll see very quickly as you go through the various modules. That will follow a similar format like this. So highly structured, highly paced. In other words, we expect everybody to keep to the pace of the program so that you're doing, the week one exercises and so on during week one. There's little point in engaging with it in a discussion forum in week two, or when everybody's moved on to week two studies and you're engaging with the week one study, so to speak. You've missed the conversation at that stage, because our moderators will be guiding and directing the conversations that happen, and then closing them out and moving on to the next one, so to speak. So this is just something to bear in mind, that while there's a degree of flexibility offered in terms of the way the program is run, so to speak, there are sort of constraints around it, and I'm sure you appreciate that. Working within these constraints is the best way to get through the program and to get the most out of the program. Now, having said that, we have accommodated people in the past where they might have fallen off the pace a little bit. There's always workarounds, and you need to talk to us and talk to your moderator leaders and moderators early, if something happens that impacts on your ability to keep to that program, so to speak. Okay, so here's some contact details, and I see Keith has put my email address on the chat there, and here's another key person that you might come across as Maria, and that's her email address there, and we're taking applications for both programs at the moment. So what I was going to do is just I see just Keith has been putting some questions on the Q&A, so I'll make a quick look down through some of these, right? There's a question there from somebody who's probably started the on-campus program and had to pull out and would like to continue, maybe looking at the online program. And what I would say to that person is the best thing to do there is to email me directly, and we'll set up a call, because it depends on where you are, and while there are some um similarities between the two programs, the the timing of things makes it a little bit difficult to do that. We have done this in the past, where someone completed the first semester and then came back and did the remaining parts of the program online. So it is possible. Um, but I say rather than sort of trying to go through a procedure there here, the best thing to do is to contact me and we can explore what the best option is through that. Second question there, how many hours a week is needed for study and class? How many classes hours will be on site in Limerick? Well, you don't have to come to Limerick at any stage. And I think also from what I said earlier, you might get the sense that we don't actually have formal classes, formal lectures, so to speak. With regards to the amount of time, we'd say as a guide about 20 hours per week to be, I suppose, uh, factored in within the schedule that we give you. In other words, there's certain things to be achieved during the week as well as, by the end of the week and so on. With regards to your suitability, this question talks about being a teacher. The areas are counselling, guidance, and adult education. Uh, well, I suppose what I would say there is that the there's very few uh, situations that I've come across where people aren't exposed to projects. And if you have had some initiatives, improvement to processes or to way you do your business, so to speak, um, then there's projects in there somewhere. Again, I would suggest is if you want to just drop me a note and give me a little bit more detail about what you're doing, and we can explore that, then I'd be quite happy to give you some feedback on that. You can just send me a CV or something like that. It might be the best way to take it from here. So, with what you've said there, I said there's potentially a possibility. And as I said, it's very rarely I've come across a situation where people haven't got exposure to projects. The question there, can the part-time professional diploma, the professional diploma be converted into a master's? And if yes, how, timeline, cost? Right. This is a question that I suppose we picked up on in terms of the suite of professional diplomas that are on offer. That's the route to getting a master's. So you do 3 professional diplomas to get your 90 ECTS. The timeline for that would be typically a professional diploma is offered over a year. So to get to the Master's of Professional Practice level, you're looking at 3 years of study minimum. I think a maximum of 5. So you kind of have to complete it within a certain window as well. With regards to costs, the professional diploma fees, I don't have them off the top of my head because these things are sort of things that are reviewed. But I will be able to share that with anybody who wishes to contact me on it. Because different professional diplomas attract different fees. And then there's a Masters of Professional Practice as a fee as well. So it's a little bit complex. But we should be able to clarify any queries in that regard if you are looking at professional diploma options. I work in commissioning, qualification and validation of large and small projects. So I've been involved in projects for 5+ years with no formal PM. Yeah, no, ideal, I would say, for somebody who's looking at that. You've been involved in projects, you see what's going on, and you'd have plenty to say about projects, I'm sure. And not having formal PM training is not that important for this. Sometimes it helps to if you want to go and explore a little bit around. What you get in the formal PM training type thing is typically built around a methodology and certification towards that. We're not really anchored to any particular methodology. We get you to explore different frameworks and methodologies as part of the course. And then we ask you the questions like, why doesn't it work, and what do you need to do in your particular setting to adapt those methodologies, frameworks, and so on. So I would imagine if you were working in that area, you would have seen quite a lot of what goes on in projects, and you'd have plenty to say. I just wonder, is there any more questions there that I'm not seeing? Oh, hang on a
There's one there,
second.
John. I had to continue my in-person program due to medical reasons. I'd like to apply to the program this year online. Would you know the procedure?
Yeah, I dealt with
Oh,
that.
did you
The
cover
first,
that? Sorry, I
first
might have
one,
missed.
first one, Keith. Yeah,
Yeah.
the best thing there is for that person to contact me, because it really depends on how far they got into the program.
And then there's one about I obtained 2 professional diplomas, 21 and 23. If I obtain a third one, will I lose the diplomas I have and have only the masters?
No, is a question. You once you've been given an award, you never lose it, from what I can understand. And at the third one, then you wouldn't be, if you took the professional diploma in project management, the award you'd get is the Masters of Professional Practice. So you'd have accumulated your prior professional diploma awards, and then they're sort of used as entry into the Master of Professional Practice, and then you get the Master of Professional Practice award. So you don't lose the lean bachelor diplomas that you might have accumulated.
I think that was it then, John. I think that's the last question that
I
was
have a
up
one
there.
there. I see one there on
Yeah.
the PMP qualification.
Okay.
If I already hold the PMP, is it possible to include an alternative such as a PGMP? This is where, again, it's another track, right? We don't, when you take on the MSc or any MSc program, it's not possible to get the PMP qualification as part of it. That's another track, so to speak. They can happen in parallel. And often I would say to people is, if you want to get PMP certified or PGMP certified, the timing of us would be to do it, probably soon after you finish the MSc. In other words, while things are fresh in your head, there will be things in that'll things part of the MSc will help you with getting those certifications. But because the PMI have complete control over this, and also we're not really in the business of offering certifications like this. Our business is formal education and formal degrees and so on. So there is a distinction there between what will be described as industry certifications and formal education qualifications. I think that's it, Kate, unless
Yeah,
anybody
like
else has
that's
anything
all the
else to say.
questions there, yeah. I think that's it, John. We'll finish at that.
Well, I don't have any more to say at this stage. And if people aren't, if there's no more questions coming through, we can maybe call it a day.
I put it in the chat there, and I'll be emailing out the recording and the presentation and the contact details to everyone that registered there, so they'll go early next week.
Very good.
Okay, all right, thanks.
All right, well, thanks everybody for attending, and feel free to reach out, and look forward to seeing you.
Thanks, John.
Take care. All the best. Bye.